Here's the other problem, Myles, and it's a subtle point, but I think it's a real point. Robert Saleh and anyone in management with the Jets has to be careful how they frame any of this and what they say about Aaron Rodgers, because they hope he comes back and plays next year. And we don't know if he's going to come back and play next year. Will he do it all over again? Will he decide, you know what? That was my message from the ayahuasca gods, that I should just call it a career. I don't want to put myself in the position of having the same thing happen to me again next year. The football gods have been giving me some periodic messages with these calf problems, and now that I've gone through this, I'm just ready to move on. But if they're holding out hope he's going to come back next year, they have to be very sensitive on how he's going to hear whatever they have to say in the aftermath of him being gone. So you can't stand up there if you're Robert Saleh and say the Aaron Rodgers era is over as far as 2023 is concerned. This is a completely different team. We are rebooting the Jets in the aftermath of this injury. Aaron Rodgers is not going to step onto the field again this year. We welcome him to be around as much as he wants to be around, but he's no longer a player on this team for 2023, and that's just the way it is. There's a line that you don't want to cross, because this is the guy who was, and look, I don't want to undo whatever good feelings I've developed for Aaron Rodgers, but this is the guy who was extremely sensitive about things of that nature in Green Bay, and maybe the Packers front office was more to blame than him, but I just still think if you want him back next year, you got to be careful about what you say about him now, especially as he's the one who's dealing with surgery and rehab and recovery and all the stuff he'd have to do to come back and play for you next year. So you can't completely throw dirt on the Aaron Rodgers grave, but at the same time, and I'm not trying to be critical of Robert Saleh. I'm just trying to say this is, I've got the benefit of being on the outside of it. I'm not living it. He's living it. So it's much harder when you're in the middle of it, when it's still fresh and raw and you're hurting and you're trying to reset your life before you can reset your team's existence. But this is where he's got to go today. If they're going to have any chance to beat the Cowboys, he's got to go in there today saying, I believe the kinds of things we've been saying for the last 42 minutes.
Yes. I mean, it's threading a needle, right? If you're going to try to instill all this belief in your team and in Zach Wilson, and then also think in the back of your mind, which you really can't do. I mean, Saleh can't really do. I don't know that Saleh can really think much farther than what is going on this week. Joe Douglas can. That's the GM's job, to be like, all right, well, big picture, this is one thing that could happen. This is another thing that could happen. This is the contingency plan that we have, which I was thinking about this earlier and you kind of blew through this point, but like in some ways they did kind of plan for an Aaron Rodgers injury, because now they're not going to be sending a first round pick to Green Bay because of the playtime percentage thing. So, I mean, like, they send a second round pick. I mean, that's, we can say whatever we want about that, but like, Joe Douglas can think about
that was more
stuff.
Negotiation with That was negotiation with the Packers. That wasn't we really think he's going to be injured, No, and the way some of these guys think.
Why would you think that he would be injured? You can't go into it thinking like, we're going to be effed with this. Yeah, it's just but
I guarantee you, Myles, let me just say one thing.
Yeah.
I guarantee you at some point since Monday night when the injury happened, Joe Douglas blamed himself for jinxing Aaron Rodgers by putting that term in the trade. Even entertaining the possibility he would play less than 65% of the snaps and having some sort of contingency for that counts as a jinx. And I say that because back when Rodgers was with the Packers and Ted Thompson was the GM of the team, at one point he said, we don't go out and try to get a better backup because that will jinx the starter. We don't have a better backup to Aaron Rodgers because we don't want to basically speak into existence an injury to Aaron Rodgers. And it's kind of like what Tom Moore was saying about Peyton Manning. We don't practice effed. We don't plan for effed, because if he gets hurt, we're effed. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.